Hello everyone, Manthroll here, and welcome to a little bit of a different thing for RuneScape for me. I'm going to be showing a little bit of guides of how to for certain bosses, not all bosses, but for certain bosses. And I want to start out with Krill here. Now, I already have my kills, I already have my stuff here. I was actually here the night before fighting Krill, but I decided I wanted to start showing you guys the best ways to fight certain bosses like him. And the easiest way is, number one, you're going to need, I would say for at least for Krill, for some of the other bosses you might be able to get away with wearing Bar's gear. Actually, it's probably where you should start if you need to. But if you have the levels for it, try to make your Port's gear, because Port's gear is actually very strong. It's a level 85 defensive armor, so it's actually very useful for in these kind of scenarios. Now, the main thing with Krill is you want to use magic, you want to use damage over time, and you want to use group attacks. And there's reasons for all those encouragements with it. And if you can, I would say get the Wicked Pouch. The Wicked Pouch, I believe, costs loyalty points only. So I would encourage using those here, because it counts as runes and it goes up to 10,000 runes when it's at full capacity, full charges. So that means I don't have to worry about any runes in my inventory. Now, I know there is some runes in my inventory right now. You got the Death and the Blood, but that's from actually just drops. And then as for gear, if you can do it and if you have that capability, you really want to be using Invention, especially for Krill. And this one right here, I have it for my top here, is the reason why. I have Shield Bashing 2, which is very, well, Debilitate is very important for Krill, to avoid his Prayer Drain attack, which also does a lot of damage. So it's important in that regard, but even just as important is the Venom Blood perk. Because with Krill, he can actually poison you, which can be very bad. Now I'm going to start the encounter. The first thing I want to do is, like, whenever you go for this, the spawn speed, only do to what you're comfortable doing. But as far as the entrance requirements, it's 150k if you have it lessened through the Reaper points. Otherwise, I believe it's 200k, which you will make that up very quickly. So to go for 150k, you'll probably make that back within just a few drops. Don't worry about prayer if you have the build that I do. Well, if you follow some of the things that I do here. Prayer will be useful maybe in the beginning, but that's about it. Because if you have the Vampirism Aura, and if you also have the Blood Fury Amulet, you're not actually going to need to worry too much about healing. Because those two items alone will keep you pretty healed, and his minions here will actually drop a lot of tuna potatoes as well as sharks. Which tuna potatoes is actually something that I discussed in I think it was a fishing money-making guide. And the reason behind that is because the chopped tuna is actually very valuable, because it helps people skip a few steps. As you can see, my legendary pet here is going out for me and getting my drops. If you want to fight Zackle and Rich, go ahead. But the main two you're going to want to actually target is the melee one and the mage one. Now finally, the biggest thing you're going to want to try to do is you're going to want to try to have a damage over time effect. So the sunshine attack is very useful to help you increase your damage. but also it'll do damage to him over time. Which is actually an ability I think needs to be improved a little bit. I think it should be damaging him as well, but since he's not my primary target for some reason, it doesn't count as that. But as you can see, I have the damage over time attacks like Combust, I have Corruption Blast. So those are very useful for when fighting him, especially Corruption Blast, because it'll spread to the things that are nearby, which will also help keep me healed. So when fighting him, I'm also getting the corruption spread to him, and I'm getting the corruption spread to the mage one. And if you stand right here, you'll be able to get all three that are actually the weakest targets for what you're using. Now if you do need some heals, I mean, because you're going to get some damage, but it's not going to be too often. If you have it, Enhanced Excalibur, that will help tremendously. But if you really need to, like I said, occasionally there will be some food drops which will help you out. And see right there, I already made my money back. I like using Telegraph for this because of the Wicked Pouch, but as you can see, it's a pretty relatively simple fight if you follow certain procedures. You're probably not going to need food too often, which is why, oops, misclick. Which is actually why I encourage, using Enhanced Excalibur and not worrying so much about prayer with them. If you really want to, during the beginning of the fight, or before the first fight, go over here, charge your prayer at the altar, and then you'll have your prayer. But as you can see, now, I will admit, my guy does have high levels, so you can't quite base my experience off of what you guys might experience yourselves, but it will be easier the higher the level, of course. But if you follow like certain gear guides, because like I have a level 70 offhand weapon right now because I'm just using it for invention XP. So I mean, if you follow these kind of things, you should actually be alright. And if you see what's going on here, I'm having a very easy time with Krill. He's actually not providing much of a challenge. Now I know my health is down a little bit right now, but that'll be okay here in a little bit. He's not too much of a challenge, to be perfectly honest. I mean, yes, he's a boss. Yes, this is God of War's Dungeon 1. So I know some people would be like, well, that's an easy dungeon. And it is. But the reason for going to a place like this is for the sake that you're going to have drops. You're going to have stuff that's going to make this extremely easy for you. Now, instead of going over there, I'm going to cheat and I'm going to do that, which is going to help me out. So as you can see, very easy. Now the other reason why I encourage augmented gear is because if you look at this stuff here, it's stuff that degrades. And I'm not a big fan of degrade to dust type weaponry and armors. So you'll see me ones that degrade until the point where you have to repair it. Which to me is going to be more beneficial. Now you could go for the power armor that's level 90, but you're going to be spending a lot of money into that for what you're getting out of it. Because you're going to have to be, getting more every so often, unless you have the dyes, which I believe makes them so they don't degrade to dust, and then you can augment them from there, which would be even better yet. But to get the dyes that are needed, plus to actually have the armor, it's either very expensive or extremely lucky. Because getting those things are not easy to get, the dyes especially. But I hope you guys enjoyed this little tutorial. As you guys can see, you know, I have my damage over time effects. Also, try using concentrated blast because it actually helps different things. Really read into your abilities. If you read into your abilities, it'll be extremely helpful. As you can see, I do have sacrifice, but it's not towards the front of the revolution build here. And yes, that is the War Priest Cuirass. It does get a golden loot beam. And the reason why it is very important is because you can actually disassemble this and get some pretty good parts. I got invasive and Tsutsaroth components, which are very useful for perks and maybe some other stuff down the road as well, because we do know Invention Batch 2 is coming, and we don't know entirely what's all coming with Invention Batch 2, but it is coming. So this will actually conclude this. Oh, and there is better perks. As you can see, I don't even have this one fully decked out, but there is more perks you can get. There is better perks you can get. So do keep that in mind. As you can see, I wasn't even paying attention to Krill right there, but I still beat him pretty easily. So that'll actually do it for this video, and I hope you guys found this little tutorial useful and for your bossing experience. Just remember, keep some heals and do a lot of area attacks for this boss. Very useful, and try to keep in mind the illuminated books also offer some damage boosts. If you can, try to get stuff like the Luck of the Dwarves, because I don't know about you, but I'd like to get the Hazelmir's Signet as well. So, which that actually reminds me too, and this is 100% straight up what I'm going to be doing. After my first initial Hazelmir's Signet, of course I'm going to be using it, but after I get one of those, I want you guys to let me know, should I give them away for the channel, or should I sell them and collect more bonds to give away the bonds? Me personally, I think it'd be better just to give away the rings, because then the rings you guys could decide whether you want to keep them or sell them and get bonds yourselves, or, you know, if I just sell them right off the bat, you can only get the bonds, and then, I mean, I guess you could take the bonds and then trade them or sell them and then maybe make some money off of it, but you could do the same thing with the Signet. Except one's going to keep going up in price, the other one will probably keep going down in price. So let me know what you guys think. But it's probably going to be a long time before I ever get a Hazelmir's Signet. And I don't even know how you technically get them, if it's only certain creatures or if it's all creatures. All I know is you have to have Luck of the Dwarves in order to get it. That's all I know. But that'll do it for this video, so thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, later guys.